This country's Foreign Affairs Minister, Mélanie Joly, says Canada will join allies in imposing severe sanctions if Russia takes further military action against Ukraine. Joly was in Brussels today, meeting with her European Union counterpart.
The Prime Minister is, as we speak, looking at a range of options, and of course my role is to make sure that he is well aware of the diplomatic talks and as well as what is going on in Ukraine directly. And that's exactly why I went, and that's exactly why I'm still in contact with our colleagues in Ukraine, including the President and the Foreign Minister.
Vadym Prystaiko is the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Kingdom. He also previously served as the country's head of mission at Nato and as Ukraine's ambassador to Canada. Ambassador Prystaiko, thanks so much for making time for us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm wondering how concerned you are about the choice of words U.S. President Joe Biden had yesterday, despite the firm words we heard today in a statement from him, but also from Secretary of State Blinken. How concerned are you by what you heard?
What he was saying is just part of usual conversation with NATO. What NATO, for example, will do if Russians will come just little down before the threshold of open aggression. How NATO will react if it's not full-scale aggression, and who would decide whether it's full-scale or not? For us, any soldier life matters, and we already lost 13,500 of Ukrainians. So these remarks actually were making quite a big splash in Ukrainian news as well.
Is that because there is concern that this will affect the diplomatic efforts and the talks at this point during this very tense time?
Somebody believed that this emotionally was not very correct towards Ukrainians who've been, it's not just, recent escalation. Our problem is 7 years of war, which we've been losing not people but territory, and they will be trying to do all these nasty things, including the recent cyber attacks. That's what bothers us. But again, if they decided to scale down the operation, will it be enough to let Russians go? What about our territory being still occupied? What about people being still killed each and every day? That's what bothers us.
How likely do you see it at this point that Russia will actually launch an invasion into Ukraine?
We hope that we will still be able to avoid it, and that's why we're trying to reach out to everybody, our partners in the West, trying to tell them, guys, that we know that it will happen, we just don't know when, but it is happening right now. So whether we're ready for this full-scale invasion or it will be limited invasion, still, we have to do everything we can to stop them right now where they are.
The United States has also said they believe Russian President Vladimir Putin is planning false flag operations, that Moscow perhaps even already has saboteurs positioned in Ukraine. What do you make of that?
Last May, we have 135,000 of them. Now we have 100,000 of them. It's still not enough to topple our army. It's getting stronger with each and every day, by the way, with the assistance of Canada, of the United States, of Great Britain. And I believe that we will be able to put up a real fight. Whether they have saboteurs in our case, we hope that over these years we learn a couple of tricks, what they do. And this time, this green little man or something else, these tactics which they used against us in Crimea won't work. But again, we believe that it will be a real fight. It's not a walk in the park. We warned them so many times that you will have many bodies back home. Unfortunately, many Ukrainians can also die. So we are prepared, at least psychologically, for this war. And again, we still hope that it can be worth it.
How much faith do you have in NATO that they can help fend off the worst case scenario here?
Ukrainians are quite already heard so many times that you are not part of the family. We won't be supporting you. Our soldiers won't come. I don't believe that we have to be reminded each and every day of this, that we are almost on our own and we will have to fight ourselves. At the same time, realistically, we understand that not many nations will agree to send their soldiers. I have to tell you that Ukrainian mothers won't be happy to send their kids to die as well. But if we have to fight, we will.
We know Germany, of course, is a key player in all of this. The Nordstrom Pipeline has come up. Do you think that that's actually enough of a deterrent for Germany to do that?
I don't see something which will allow me to say that Germans now made up their minds and they will shut down these pipelines. Frankly, it's not that important whether they do it or not. What important is that we need their support, in political support first of all. Some economic support also needed. And let's not forget that they are part of these Minsk negotiations, where they actually took a responsibility to help us to get out of this. And their position is, how to put it, it's not very strong. It's not as strong as we would like it to see.
Supporters of President Putin might say that NATO is pushing Russia to respond the way that it is, an argument I'm sure you've heard many times. We heard Secretary of State Blinken refer to this as well. What's your response to that sentiment?
No, we tried with Russians many different things. When we divorced peacefully 30 years ago, we believed that all of us will respect our territories and we can go our ways peacefully. We promised to be defended. We've been promised to be defended when we gave up our nuclear weapons. It's just another paper being signed. We tried to reach with Russia different ways. Different papers were signed. We were out of bloc, sort of somebody staying between two big forces in Europe. Never worked. I don't believe that we can sign anything with them which would allow us to exist. So we have to reach out to somebody who can provide the security in this part of the globe. And NATO is the best mechanism in our part of the globe. As simple as that.
What more would you like to see and hear from the countries that are supporting you already?
We've been receiving support, first of all, political, and that's very important. Sometimes when the partners are giving us even the hardware, the kinetic weapons, it's not important the weapons themselves, because we have sizable army with the weapons sometimes needed for the immediate attack. But the political support is important. Sometimes we need not just good word, but some actions. In most of the cases, sanctions are important. Some assistance for Ukraine to survive, and it's been quite difficult, to develop economy and our society, which is not perfect. But it's even more difficult to do it at the days when you're under attack. So all sorts of support. At the end of the days, if you're really attacked, we won't be shy to ask somebody to help us militarily as well.
Specifically in terms of Canada, what would you like to see?
You're already helping us. There is the Operation Unifier, which is allowing us to be trained. Our soldiers are training with your soldiers and officers, sometimes even exchanging this experience. We start hearing more and more for example, from your minister, who was just visiting Ukraine, that additional assistance is here. I remember since the very beginning, since 2014, you were providing some financial help. There was a credit which helped us immediately after the revolution to survive and kept us afloat. So there are many different things, but there are just a couple of nations in the world who can actually stand tall against Russians and help Ukraine openly, sometimes with money, but sometimes with weapons as well. Canada, one of those.
And we will see what the government does on that front. The Prime Minister has said they are looking at a range of options, but have not said yes, obviously, as you know, to that specific request for weapons. I'm wondering, sir, if we can shift from the diplomatic and political to the personal just for a moment, because many of us, certainly I know what it's like to watch a country that you have connections to or care about or are from afar when something like this is unfolding. What would you say about how you feel about where your country is right now?
The previous, the revolution we had, the bloody part of it in Kiev, when people were shot on the street, I was in Ottawa myself and watching from afar what is happening, how the events were unfolding. And, you feel that you could do much better and that maybe you can do something to help it. That's, I believe, the many Ukrainians, and not just Ukrainians who are with the Ukrainian passport, but proud Canadian Ukrainians, all the million of them, now watching and seeing, is it anything can be done better to help this their former motherland, or just newly born democratic nation somewhere in Europe to survive this and get out of this. And who knows, maybe Russia will be able to live peacefully and friendly again. I feel this, I understand it, this feeling of, that you are not in the center, you can't help yourself. But, with the time you understand that actually each and every one of us doing something. And the people who are now in Canada, hopefully watching our conversation with you, they can be sure that we feel it, we understand that we've been helped. But again, not many nations in the world are doing it as open as we would like them to see.
Ambassador Prystaiko, I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.